Cellulite. What is it exactly? Why do people get it? And what can you do about it? How can you go about getting rid of cellulite naturally and safely? That's what we're going to talk about here. All right, so what is cellulite? We all know what it looks like. It's the dimpling on the skin, the fat that gives that dimply kind of look, that lumpy look that is often referred to as cottage cheese. Why though? Well, what's happening here is swollen fat cells are pushing up against connective tissue that is then pulling the skin down, which creates that pitting. Now, cellulite is more common with women than with men and is more commonly seen among women as they get older. And the reason for that is, as women get older, estrogen levels decline, and this then weakens the fibrous tissues that are surrounding fat cells, which means that there's just worse support for the skin. And it also worsens circulation in the body, which then blunts collagen production, which produces weaker skin. So it's kind of a double whammy there. Another bit of physiology unique to women that contributes to the formation of cellulite is that they tend to have more body fat. They naturally have more body fat than men. And also, their fat cells are arranged in vertical columns, which are prone to bulging, whereas men's are arranged in a net-like pattern, not prone to bulging. Now, what can you do about cellulite? Well, the first thing you need to know is there are no magic bullets, there are no quick fixes, there are no simple pills or powders you can swallow or creams or special massages you can do to magically get rid of the problem. One other small frog to swallow is that you can't completely get rid of cellulite if you have it, but you can reduce its appearance. You can do something about it, certainly. And the best ways to do that are to build muscle, to improve the health of your skin, to lose body fat. If you have a high-ish body fat percentage, for example, if you are a woman and you are above 25% body fat, then losing fat is almost certainly going to help. And in some cases, I've seen where women are around 25% body fat with cellulite, they get down to about 20% and they add muscle, and that alone is enough to dramatically reduce the visibility of it. There is one more thing too that contributes to reducing the appearance of cellulite, and that is increasing blood and lymph flow. And the reason why those things help is poor circulation and poor lymph drainage can lead to inflammation and swelling. And if the circulation of blood and lymph remains low for too long, these hardened collagen bands can form around fat globules, and that makes the cellulite even worse. Now, how do you do that? How do you increase circulation and lymph drainage? Well, weightlifting is great for that. Great for both of those things. And weightlifting is also great for building muscle, which helps fill in the spaces, giving you a softer, smoother look. And of course, weightlifting also can help you lose fat. So weightlifting really is one of the most effective things you can do to combat cellulite. Now, I mentioned earlier that supplements are not the answer, and they're not the answer, but there are a couple supplements that can help. One I want to mention here now, and then in a minute I'll talk about a couple others. So the one that I would say is most important, not just for dealing with cellulite, but for overall health, is fish oil. It is a good omega-3 fatty acid supplement, and really the best choice is fish oil. And the reason why this can help is if you take enough of it, which I would say is at least 1 gram of EPA and DHA. Those are the two omega-3 fatty acids that we're really trying to get from fish oil. So at least 1 gram of EPA and DHA per day. But you can take up to 5 or 6 grams per day for the purposes of reducing inflammation, especially if you are physically active. Research shows that that high dose can be quite effective for reducing inflammation all around in the body. And as one of the issues that can aggravate cellulite and just make it look worse is inflammation, taking enough fish oil can counteract that. Another unwanted condition related to excess inflammation that fish oil can help with, higher doses of fish oil, are joint issues. You will notice if you are lifting weights fairly frequently and you're pushing yourself in your workouts, that you are going to have fewer joint aches and pains, just fewer joint problems with fish oil in your regimen than without it. Now, as far as fat loss goes, this is pretty obvious why it helps. The smaller the fat cells are, the less swelling and bulging there can be. However, you can have cellulite at relatively low body fat levels. And what most people find is that the cellulite is worst in the areas that have the most stubborn fat, the fat that just takes its sweet time to go away, that is hardest to lose. And for women, that is usually hips, thighs, butt. Those are the most stubborn areas. For guys, it's usually the lower abdomen, the tire. And so then what you can do is focus on losing stubborn fat in particular. Now, of course, you can't just target stubborn fat. Mostly what that means is getting to a relatively low body fat percentage. If you do that, it's going to involve losing a fair amount of stubborn fat. But because the fat stores, I don't want to get too much into the physiology of stubborn fat because I've already spoken about that and written about that rather extensively. So if you want to learn about what stubborn fat is and why some fat stores are just very resistant to being mobilized and burned, then search my podcast feed or my YouTube channel for stubborn fat, and you'll find a podcast I recorded on it, or you can also find a long-form article over at Legion Athletics that I wrote on it. But for the purposes of this discussion, all you need to know is that the stubborn fat stores, which are almost always the fat deposits that you want to get rid of the most, are the last to go. You do have to get to a pretty low level of body fat to have very little stubborn fat. And again, for women, that's about 20% body fat. For men, it's about 10% body fat. And so what can happen then is a woman can start at, let's say, 30% body fat and get down to 25% body fat, doing well and definitely getting leaner, but not seeing that much of a change in the areas that she cares the most about: her hips, her thighs, her butt. She is going to see mostly the changes in areas that she cares less about, like her arms and just her upper body in general, her face and her back. And that can be pretty discouraging because if she doesn't understand what's going on, she can then conclude that, I guess this fat is never I can't get rid of it. It doesn't budge no matter how strict I am on my diet, no matter how good I am following my meal plan, and the weight, the scale's going down and I'm seeing results from my waist up, but not really seeing much from the waist down. And coincidentally, that's also where the majority of the cellulite's going to be. So it can be doubly disappointing. But the long story short is you just need to keep going. She just needs to get down to that 20% or so body fat level. And a lot of the fat that she's going to lose going from 25 to 20% is going to be that stubborn fat, whereas not much of the fat that she lost going from 30% to 25% will be. And unfortunately, there isn't much you can do to lose stubborn fat faster. Most of it is just sticking with it, maintaining your calorie deficit, eating plenty of protein, training your muscles, not overtraining, et cetera, et cetera. But there is one supplement you should know about called yohimbine, which when combined with fasted exercise in particular, you need to be in a fasted state to get yohimbine's fat burning effects. You can lose stubborn fat faster. This has been shown in a number of studies. And if you want to learn more about that, I'm not sure if I've recorded any content on yohimbine in particular. You can search my podcast feed or my YouTube channel. If there's nothing there, just head over to legionathletics.com and search for yohimbine, and you will find some stuff that I've written on it. And you also find it in one of my supplements called Forge. All right, so back to talking about cellulite in particular. The last thing is a couple other supplements you should consider. Now, I saved them for the last because the evidence is weak and they may or may not work, but they're inexpensive, they're safe. So if you are really trying to improve the cellulite issue as quickly as possible, if it were me, I would throw them in because why not? And those supplements are Gotu Kola, Gotu, new word, Kola, and horse chestnut. Why those? Well, research shows that gotu kola may be able to increase circulation and collagen production, which, as you now know, would be beneficial in the case of cellulite. And studies show that horse chestnut may have anti-inflammatory effects and may also be able to increase circulation. So again, good if you are dealing with cellulite. It's also worth noting that these supplements have been shown effective in treating varicose veins, which is a condition that's highly associated with cellulite. So again, a good indication that they can indeed help reduce the appearance of cellulite. Now, as far as dosing goes, you want to go for 750 milligrams to 1 gram of gotu kola per day. And for the horse chestnut, it is 400 to 600 milligrams per day. But you need to make sure that it's standardized to contain enough of a molecule called essin, A-E-S-C-I-N. What you're really going for is 100 to 150 milligrams of essin per day. All right, well, that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, please do give it a like and drop a comment down below letting me know what you thought. And if you really liked it, and if you want to know when my next video goes live, just subscribe to my channel. Big red button over there. It's free, of course, and click the bell, and then YouTube will notify you when I post my next video. So I hope to see you then.